Okay, this is Unit 7, Lesson 8. We have a quiz tomorrow. Vocabulary review. To write a percent as a decimal, move the decimal 2 places to the left. Okay, so let's take a look at number 2. Who's got number 2? Athila? Very good. Now, let me walk you guys through it. That's correct. So I got 1, 2 places. Got to annex some 0. 65 tens, hundreds, thousands, 65 thousands. Okay? But what the digits you gave me were correct. All right. I'm trying to review that because you guys are going to see that on the park where that's like the gimme. Like name this number. So I want to get you guys ready for that. So number 3, who's got number 3? McKinley, go ahead. It's not going to be thousands. It's going to be something else. See if you can fix that. Your digits were right. 1, 2. What's the place of the 5? So this 0, tens, and then the 4 is in the hundreds. 2 is in the thousands, and 5 is in the, what's after thousands? 10 thousands. 0, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10 thousands. So that's 425 ten thousandths. Okay? All right. This one over here, it's a little bit different. Why is this one a little different? Amar? It's a whole number, but do we have a decimal when we have whole numbers or whole percents? Right. Where is my decimal at? It's on the far right, yes. So what is this going to be, Amari? 15 hundredths, right. So here's where the decimal's at. 1, 2, 15 hundredths. Okay? And then this one's come up a couple times.
Can I see for like 30 seconds?
Yeah.
When you get home, could you just give me a statement of what happened down here?
I just heard my cousin in the hallway. I tried to redirect him to go upstairs and ask him to me.
Okay.
And he never did go to the school.
Okay. If you could just get that in right at some point. Thanks.
Okay, so for 20%, same deal. The decimal is all the way at the end. Now, yesterday I had students saying this is 20 hundredths. That's technically correct. Or you could have also said 0 and 2 tenths. They're equal. Okay? Remember, if I was to write this as a fraction, it would be 2 tenths. Right? And if I wrote this as a fraction, it would be 20 hundredths, the place value of the last digit. They're equal fractions. These are equal decimals. Okay? Are we good? All right, moving along. All right, what you'll learn. To find and estimate solutions to application problems involving percents. New vocabulary, commission. Does anybody know what a commission is? Rehan?
Commission is like somebody getting paid, like for example, in a furniture store, the person will be paid a commission, like how much they get sell to the customer.
Right, so think about it like this. It's like a tip for you selling stuff. Do you guys understand? So it's like if you work selling things, if you sell something, you get a tip. And the tip is usually a percent of whatever it is you sell. Does that make sense? Okay, so I met somebody who sold like huge dump trucks for like rock quarries, where some of these trucks, like the smaller ones, the tire would be like to the ceiling. But they had bigger ones that were huge. And like literally you had to use a ladder to climb up into it. It's like a couple floors of a house. And some of them would drive by themselves. He didn't sell many of them, and he got a commission. Okay, but when he sold some of them, these were millions and millions of dollars, you know, it wasn't a large percentage, but he got a commission for that. Okay? And then a lot of these jobs that pay on commission, if you don't sell something, they have like a base salary. Okay? And so the reason why I'm wanting to discuss this with you, I want you to think about this, is that's kind of what this whole lesson's about, figuring out a tip or a commission. Okay, does anybody know what a tip is? What's a tip? Yep.
Like extra money to the, like, added to the original price.
Right, so it can be for, like at a restaurant, you might tip somebody. I don't know if, I think I told you guys I went to Costa Rica. And so when we went to Costa Rica, I gave a tip to our tour guide. We went on a ATV tour, and we went to go see some like waterfalls and some, we just went up to the rainforest. And my wife wanted to drive really slow on the ATV, and I like to go fast, so I was trying to, make the back wheels like skid out. And the guy that was my guide, he was really, really cool. He used to ride motorcycles, and then he showed me that he had a really bad accident. He had a bunch of stitches and bolts in his legs, so this is kind of what he did to pay the bills. And so at the end, he did a really good job, so I gave him a tip afterwards. Okay, that was on top of what I paid for the tour. Okay, so a tip isn't necessarily just at a restaurant. You could tip somebody because you think they did a good job. Okay, does that make sense? But usually they say at least at a restaurant, you should tip about 15%, maybe a little more if you think they did a really good job, a little less if you think they did not so good of a job. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And I want to tie this into this formula I have on the board over here on the whiteboard. I'm going to write this up in the notes too. So why learn this? You use percents to calculate taxes, tips, and commissions. In many states, you must pay a sales tax on items you buy. The sales tax is a percent of the purchase price. A tax percent is also called the tax rate. To find the sales tax, you can use the formula. Okay, so here's my formula. All right, and I want to show how this relates to the formula I have over here. So I'm going to try to use the same color scheme. So tax rate, it's usually a percentage, right? But do we use percents? Did we use percents yesterday or the day before? What were we using? Do you guys remember? We didn't multiply by the percent. What did we multiply by? The decimal equivalent. So it's the decimal. Oops. And then, do you guys remember the other things we were looking for? Times the what? What were the other two things we were looking for? What did you say? No, what do you think it was? The whole. So we're going to take the decimal. In this case, they're saying purchase price, but that's just the whole. Decimal times the whole. And that would equal the what? The part. So you're just using this formula over again, except for they renamed the pieces. Do you guys understand? And so yesterday's lesson is the same formula we used yesterday, except for the book shuffled this formula around. Okay? And do you see how these two are the same formula, except for the part is on the other side of the equation? It's the same equation, just rewritten a little. They're equivalent equations. Okay, now we're going to use this equation again and again throughout the lesson. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and have this ready to rumble, because we're going to use it on this problem right here. Now this one's a two-part question. Most students stop at the first part, and even though they got the first part right, they're still incorrect because there's two parts to it. You got to do both parts. I'm giving you a hint because all morning long, students were messing up on this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read this. Finding the sales tax. Okay, so if we're finding the sales tax, what are you trying to find? The percent, the whole, or the part? We're trying to find the part. Okay, so shopping. In the price of a bicycle you plan to buy, excuse me, let me fix that. The price of a bicycle you plan to buy is $159.99. The sales tax rate is 6%. How much will you pay for the bicycle? Do you see why there's two parts to this now that I've read it to you? Can you guys go ahead and try to work this out? So what's the decimal part going to be?
0.0600.
Nice. You gave the right decimal too. So this morning I had some students give me 0.6. That's 60% sales tax, right? Okay. Don't make that mistake. It's 0.06, which is 6/100. Okay? And you need to multiply that by the whole. And what's the whole going to be? The cost of the bike. Okay? And then what we get back is the sales tax for that bike. Okay, while you guys are working that out, I'm going to go ahead and work out my part. Okay. Are those the digits you guys got? Did I trip up somewhere? What did I mess up on?
Well,
60, no, 9, right. Oopsie. 69. There you go. All right, so where's my decimal going to be? You know what I heard this morning? 2 places in. What were they confusing that with? What were they thinking by putting it 2 places over? Anybody? Why did they think 2 places in? Why do you think they thought that?
because for each one, you have to count how many places behind decimal are
Right.
total, but they just did it for one of the numbers.
Right? Or they might have been thinking when you add and subtract, just bring the decimal down. Okay? But that's not what we're doing here. We have 2 places in for the first number, number we're multiplying by, and the other one's 2. So altogether, that's 4 places in. So we got to go in 1, 2, 3, 4. And this brings up another point I wanted to raise. Do you ever pay with part of a penny?
Teachers and students, we are going into a soft lockdown. Again, teachers and students, we are going into a soft lockdown.
Lock my
We
door.
will alert you as soon as the soft lockdown is lifted. Thank you.
Take that clip out. Okay. All right, so you don't pay in parts of a penny, right? You would never go buy a candy bar and they said it's 59.5 cents, right? Would you cut half a penny? Do you guys understand? No. So what I need you guys to do is round to the nearest cent. And this threw a lot of people off. I don't know why, so I'm going to try to emphasize this right now. To the nearest cent, how much is the sales tax? You look at the hundredths place, which is a penny. You go over one more place. Is that number in the thousands place 5 and up? Okay, so that means I raise this by 1, right? So the 9 in the hundredths place becomes a 10. That means I also got to carry, so the 5 in the tenths place becomes a 6. So how much is the sales tax to the nearest penny? How much is it, class? It's $9.60. Okay, now, all morning long, students stopped here. Now the questions, some of these questions will ask you just for the sales tax, but that's not what they're asking you. Right? Could I walk out the door if I just paid $9.60? Could I walk out the door with the bicycle if I paid that much? No. You have to pay for the cost of the bicycle plus the tax. So do you guys see what the last part is? This is what people were forgetting to do all morning long. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? How many of you guys still didn't think about that, even though I was trying to tell you ahead of time? Okay, I don't want you guys to trip up on the word problems, because I feel like that's the biggest issue. You're not comprehending the word problems, even though I know you understand. the math behind it. So the total cost is going to be the tax plus the cost. Okay? So when I add that up, what's it going to be? 6, K, 9, carry. Oh, 9, and then 6, that's 15. I'm doing terrible today, just a warning. Did I fix it? Carry that over, that's 9, carry that. Okay, is that good? Yeah. All right. Okay, so thanks for the catch. All right, so take a look at this next problem. It's the same problem. Okay? It's a two-step problem. Find the sales tax, give me the costs, the total costs. Okay, so what's the decimal part going to be? 0.055. Tens, hundreds, thousands to 55 thousandths. Okay. I need to multiply that by the whole. And the item we're buying is $185. So that's my whole. There's two ways I could have multiplied this out. I made sure I multiplied it this way because I saw it was going to be a little bit easier. Some of you might have done it a different way. You still should get the same answer. Okay. 5 times 5, 25, carry the 2. 8 times 5, 40 plus the 2, 42, carry the 4. 5 times 1 plus the 4, 9. Now before I go taking care of the next 5, I got to put a place value. And then now you probably see why I went ahead and multiplied it that way. Okay. Add all that up. Where's my decimal going to go? Okay, and what's the cost of the sales tax?
$10.
Nice, $10.18. I don't know why students have been having a hard time with that today. People keep getting thrown off on that, but do you guys see why it's $10.18? Okay. Now, this isn't the answer, right? This is only part of the answer. What's the last step? Goldis, go ahead.
You have
right? I got to add the cost of what it is I'm buying to the sales tax. And I need to make sure I line up my decimals. So
Thank you for your cooperation. The soft lockdown has been lifted. Thank you.
okay, and so what does the total cost end up being if we add this up? $195.18. Okay, any questions? All right. All right, a lot of typos. Your family takes a taxi to the train station. The taxi fare is $17.85. Estimate a 15% tip to give to the driver. Do you see how this doesn't have the two steps we did in the first two problems? Do you see what it's asking? It's not saying what's the total cost of your trip with the tip. Do you guys understand? It just wants to know the tip. Okay, do you see how important it is to comprehend what the question's asking? All right, so I also want to review something with you. So you can solve this like we did the first two problems. What I really want to review with you is distribution property, because half of you guys got that wrong on the quiz. If you've taken a look at your quiz and you got it right, this isn't for you, but half the students didn't want to use distribution property, and they asked you to use it to estimate the percent of something. Well, we're going to use distribution property here, okay? So we have the whole, and I'm going to rearrange the formula just a little bit. So 1785, and I need to multiply it by my percent, and I'm going to rewrite my percent as 10% plus 15%. Or 5%, excuse me, because all those together give me back 15%. Okay. So I feel like mentally you should be able to find 10% of something, right? What are we really doing if we're finding 10% of something? We're moving the decimal, right? So if I have 10% of $17.85, how much is that? What is it, class?
45.
What is it?
45.
No, 10% of $17.85. What's 10% of that?
1%.
I'm just going to move my decimal over. It's $1.70. How many cents? 79. So this is $1.79 plus, let me go ahead and do this other distribution. How do I figure out 5%? I should be able to mentally do it.
Half of 10%.
Nice. 5% is half of 10%. Well, we already have 10%. So if we take half of $1.79, then we'll know what 5% is. So what is half of $1.79? Well, half of $1 is what? 50 cents, right? Half of 70 is how much? 35. So let me just tally all this up. So we got 50 cents. Half of 70 cents is 35. And then half of 9 cents is 4.45, right? Half of 9. Okay, so we put all that together. 50 plus 35 is 85. 85 plus 4.5 is what? 89. 89, so that's going to be
I think it's 0.045.
50. That's 85. That would be 80. Oh, you're right. That's a 0 there. Let's see. Okay. Are we good? So, okay. So now you know where that comes from, because we're going to use that here in a moment. we got that little bit of information here. And so what would 15% be? So we need to take and add these, right? $1.79 plus 5%. So 10% plus 5%. Line up your decimals, add it up, tell me what it is. So if I add all that up, right? Okay, but we need to the nearest penny, so what's that going to be? If you just multiply 15% to that, yeah, you're going to get the same thing. Okay, but I'm trying to review distribution product because a lot of you lost points on that. Okay? Yeah, but you have a 5 here that you got to round it up. 5 and up, bump it up. 4 and below, let it flow. So we got 179. Line up your decimal. Did you line up your decimals? Okay, so 1785. Let's double check. Times 15, right? Where do we go wrong? Oh, you know what? Because we rounded up to 10%, and then we rounded up to 5%. That's where so round off error. That's something you guys will learn about a little bit later.
So would that be wrong?
If you're just rounding, you're estimating. It's yeah, you got some round off error in there. All right, but you won't get round off error for these. Let's walk through this because I'm really short on time. So 10%, what's 10% of $58.20? $5.82. And then we need to add to that 5%. What's 5%? Well, that's half of 10%. What's half of our amount for 10%? Half of 5 is 250. Half of 82 is 41. So 41 plus 250 is what? Isn't it 291? 250 plus, it's okay. I don't know what it is. 291, right? And so we're going to take and add all that up. $873. So we had a little bit of round off error earlier. Here we didn't have to round anything up or down, right? Take a look at the next. Can you guys really quickly do these other two? Because these are a little easier than the example above. You should be able to knock them out really quickly. So has everybody at least found the 10%? Okay, let's find our 10% of everything. So that's the easy one. What's 10% of $61.80? It's going to be $6.18. What's 10% of $49.75? $4.90 what? $4.98. So we do round up a little bit here. And then let's do 5%. So in the book it says, hey, was your estimate a good estimate? Have you noticed that throughout the book? Okay, so you're not always, if you use some of these strategies and you're rounding, you're going to have some round off errors, okay? And so I would say our last value was pretty close. It wasn't way off from what you got, right? All right, so 5% is half of the 10% value, $6.18. That's an easy one, right? What's that going to be? $3.09. Now, the first one and the second one, there's no round off error. This is exactly the amount of 15% of these numbers. Do you guys understand? When we start doing some round, you might get some errors. It might be off a little bit, okay? So let's go ahead and add these up. 9 and 8, 17, carry that. 2, 6, 3, and $9.27. What is 5% over here? $2 and what? $2.49. Okay. And then we're going to add it up. 8 and 9, 17, carry it. 9, 1 and 4, 14, carry it. 4, 1 and 2. Okay. This wasn't the point of the lesson, but because when I was grading the quiz, I saw so many students weren't getting distribution property, I wanted to make it an emphasis today. Do you guys understand distribution property and how it works? Okay. I did see some students using distribution property in very creative ways, but the idea of using distribution property is to kind of do it so it makes things easier for you. So when you look at your quiz, I give you the solutions. Some of you guys had some really creative ways, and I don't know if that was necessarily a faster way to do it. Yep.
On a quiz, if I got the same answer as you, but I did it a different way, I still get.
Not if the book tells you a way to do it. If it says you have to use this method, you have to use that method. Because that quiz, it said estimate. Some of you guys just multiplied it out. You did the math. You got the exact amount. You didn't estimate it, okay? Because it was 49%. Well, 49 is almost 50%, so you really just find a half, right? You guys didn't take it and solve the problem the way the question asked you to solve it. Yep.
On the last slide, if they, like, since the questions didn't say round up, and we don't round up on the quiz, would we get it?
Now, guess what? If I wouldn't have rounded up any of these, I would have got the exact value that you guys got when you calculated it out. Do you guys understand? So I guess I could have rounded at the end. You see what I'm saying? Since I rounded along the way, some round off error occurred. You'll learn more about round off error as you move through math, okay? So moving along, take a look at that formula. Remember what I told you about commission? Some sales jobs pay you a commission, a percent of the amount of your sales. To find a commission, use commission equals commission rate times sales. So this is the same formula we've been using all along. So I want to go back. I'm going to copy this formula. You're using the same formula. Okay? The commission is the part. The sales, how much you sold, is the whole. The commission rate is the decimal that comes from the percent. Okay? So this first one's pretty easy. Go ahead, solve this one. How much time we got left? Okay, we're running short on time, so we're just going to blaze through this. So we want to find the commission. you're working, I don't know, in the mall and you sold $500 worth of clothes this week, so you're supposed to get 12.5%. When I was in high school, I think I had some friends that worked at Gap, and I think they got commission for whatever they sold. So they got paid an hourly rate. It might be different now because that was many, many years ago that I was in high school. But it might not, I don't know. But commission's not unusual for sales jobs. So we have our whole, is our sale. And while I'm working this out, if you guys can go and work this out, and our commission rate, can somebody tell me what that is as a decimal?
0.1.
What do we say? What's this number called? 125 tenths, hundreds, thousands. Okay? And so we'll know what our commission is if we multiply that out. Okay, that's the part. And this one's pretty easy. You're probably already done with it. Bear with me, I'm still trying to teach some students how to multiply decimals, so I'm adding more detail than might be necessary for you, but I still have students struggling with this. I want to make sure they get it. 0 times 5, these are all going to be zeros. Okay, before I multiply the next set of zeros, put a place value. Okay, and then before I multiply this 5, I got 2 sets of zeros, so 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10 plus the 2, 12, carry the 1. 5 times 1, 5 plus the 1, 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this up. So when we add this up, we got 0, 0, 5, 2, 6. And then my decimal goes in 3 places, 1, 2, and 3. So for commission, how much did you make in commission? $62.05. Be careful on that. $62.50. Now remember earlier I said, hey, you can drop off the 0, but if we're talking about money, you don't want to drop off the 0 that's in the hundreds place. Do you guys understand? Okay. Next one. Okay, a sales agent earns a weekly salary of $650. So imagine you had a job that you just worked on commission and you never sold anything. That would stink. You're just standing around waiting to sell something, you're not getting paid. Right? But most commission jobs don't work that way. They usually give you a base salary. So in this particular job, this sales agent earns a weekly salary of $650. So if they sell absolutely nothing that week, they still get $650. Okay? But if they sell some things that week, they get, on top of the $650, they get 4% of whatever their sales are. So do you see how this is kind of like the first problem? There's 2 steps to it. You're trying to find your commission, but then you got to add it into the base salary. All right, we're going to finish this. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay. Times the rate. What's the rate going to be? Nice, 0.04. Okay, so I got to multiply that to my sales, but then I got to add to that my base salary. What's my base salary? $650. Okay. let's simplify this. Can somebody tell me what my commission is going to be? Actually, we're short on time, so I'm going to go ahead and calculate this. So, clear. 4 times 1250 equals $5. Is that all I got? Hold on. 0.04, that's 4%, times, okay, $50, that's how much I made. All right, so my commission was $50, plus my base salary over here. Okay, so what did I have altogether? $700 for that week. Not a bad week. Okay. Suppose you earn a weekly salary of $800 plus commission. Let's go ahead and solve this. So do you see how we're still setting it up the same as above? We have our weekly salary. We have our commission rate. How do I write that rate as a decimal? Multiplying 0.035. And then I have my total sales. I got to multiply. Plus my base salary of 800. All right. Because we're short on time, let's go ahead and that's 1,400 times 35, 3.5%. Okay, so we made $49. Plus our base salary of $800. So how much do we make? $849. Okay. Almost done. Home stretch. Now look at this. This is different. You see how you have to be careful? This isn't a two-step problem. They just wanted the commission. Do you understand? It's kind of like the other one where we just found the tip, right? Okay, so we're just finding the commission now. So our commission rate, 6%. I need to write that as a decimal. What's that going to be as a decimal? 0.06. This is what we sold. And that's going to equal our commission. What's that going to equal? So we're just going to go ahead and quickly do this. Actually, we can do that. Zero, 0, 12, carry, 18, 19. Okay, where's my decimal going to end up at? 2 places in, right? 1, 2. So we end up with $192. Okay, and home stretch. What does it mean to earn an 8% commission? Go ahead.
You get 8% of the sale.
You received I before E except after C. %, of the sale price cost. Okay. Is 4% sales tax on $250 greater than, less than, or equal to 4% commission on a $250 sale? Is the sales tax on the same amount of something you buy, is it equal? You say it's equal? I agree with you. It is equal. Okay? Calculate a 15% tip on a $24 bill. Well, what's 10%? 10% of $24 is what? $2.40. And then what's 10% or 5%? Half of that, right? $1.20. Half of 2 is $1. Half of 4 is 20. And so, what's the tip going to be? $3.60. Okay. I'm going to leave this up to you guys to do. We're out of time. Okay, you do have a quiz tomorrow.